Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. We're about to explore an interesting topic, geography resources. On this first slide, I'll give you a quick overview of what we'll cover. We'll look at different types of resources related to geography, their importance, and how they impact our world. So let's dive in and get started. Let's take a quick look at the contents of today's presentation. We'll start with an introduction to the topic, then move on to understanding what resources and their value mean. Next, we'll explore different types of resources, including natural resources, both renewable and non-renewable. We'll also discuss human-made resources and human resources, highlighting how each plays a role in our environment and society. Lastly, we'll cover the importance of conserving resources to ensure sustainability. Throughout this presentation, I want you to see how all these pieces connect and why understanding them is crucial for responsible resource management. Let's start by understanding that we use a variety of items in our daily lives, like utensils, electricity, clothes, furniture, and more. These items are useful to us because they serve different purposes and have different levels of usability. When an object can be used effectively to meet a need, we call that its usability or utility. Essentially, the moment an object becomes a resource we can use, it gains value. The use of an object directly reflects its value to us. And it's important to remember that every resource, whether it's a simple tool or a complex appliance, has its own unique value in serving our needs. This concept of usability and utility ties into the broader idea of resources and their importance in our economy and daily lives. When we talk about resource and value, the core idea is that value essentially means worth. The importance of a resource is often measured by its economic value. For example, metals tend to have a higher economic value compared to landscapes, but both of these are capable of satisfying human needs in different ways. It's interesting to note that the economic value of some resources isn't static. It changes over time. Take herbs used by our grandmothers for medicinal purposes. Back then, they might have had no commercial value. But today, if those herbs are patented and sold through medical firms, their economic worth can increase significantly. This highlights how value can be dynamic and influenced by various factors. Now, what influences these changes? Two main factors come into play: time and technology. Both are crucial for transforming substances into resources that meet our needs. And importantly, we ourselves are an essential resource. Human ideas, discoveries, knowledge, and inventions are the driving forces behind creating new resources. Every new discovery often leads to even more innovations. For example, when fire was discovered, it eventually enabled us to cook food, which was a major advancement. Similarly, the discovery of the wheel opened up new modes of transportation. And with the advent of technology, harnessing water power to generate hydroelectricity turned flowing water into a vital resource. So, in essence, progress and innovation continuously shape and redefine what we consider resources, helping us meet our ever-growing needs. Let's take a closer look at the different types of resources we encounter. When we talk about resources, we're really referring to the various assets that organizations or individuals can draw upon to achieve their goals. First, we have natural resources, which include things like water, minerals, and forests. These are the raw materials provided by nature that are essential for many industries. Next, we have human resources, which are the people involved. Think of their skills, knowledge, and labor. Without a skilled and motivated workforce, many projects simply can't move forward effectively. Then, there are financial resources, such as money, investments, or funding that help support initiatives and operations. Finally, we also consider informational resources, data, research, and knowledge that inform decision-making and strategy. Understanding these different resource types helps us better manage and utilize what we have, ensuring we align our efforts with our overall goals. It's important to recognize how these resources connect and support each other within the bigger picture of organizational success. Let's talk about natural resources. These are the resources that we can easily draw from nature and use directly, without needing to do much to them first. For example, think of water in lakes and rivers. It's readily available for us to use. The air around us, which we breathe every day, is another natural resource. We also have minerals of different types, and the soil that helps plants grow. All of these are examples of natural resources that are around us in our environment. The important point here is that we use these resources directly, and they are essentially free gifts from nature. Recognizing these resources helps us understand how vital they are for our daily lives and why we need to take care of them. Let's talk about renewable natural resources. These are resources that can be replenished or renewed quickly, which means we can use them sustainably without depleting them. Examples of such resources include wind and solar energy. One of the most important things to remember is that some of these resources are available in essentially unlimited amounts, so human activities generally don't have a severe impact on them. However, it's crucial to understand that even renewable resources like soil, water, or forests can be harmed if we use them carelessly. Overexploiting these resources can lead to serious problems, like soil degradation or deforestation. Specifically about water, while we often think of it as plentiful and available in unlimited amounts, this isn't always the case. In many regions around the world, water sources are drying up faster than they can be replenished, leading to water shortages and related issues. So the key takeaway here is that while renewable resources are vital for our sustainability, responsible use is essential to ensure they remain available for future generations. This ties into the overall theme of balancing human activity with environmental conservation. Let's talk about non-renewable natural resources. These are resources whose stocks are limited and not replenished quickly. In fact, once these resources are exhausted, it can take thousands of years for nature to renew them. Examples of such resources include petroleum, coal, and natural gases. Now, the distribution of these resources isn't uniform across the globe. It depends on various physical factors like altitude, terrain, and climate. Because the Earth has such diverse physical characteristics, these resources are unevenly spread out. Understanding this helps us see why some regions are rich in these resources, while others are not. This concept ties into the larger theme of how natural resources are distributed and the importance of managing them sustainably. Now, let's talk about human-made resources. Sometimes, what we consider a resource only becomes useful once humans change its form. For example, in the past, iron ore wasn't seen as a resource because we didn't know how to extract iron from it. But once we learned that process, iron ore became incredibly valuable. This highlights an important point. Natural resources often need human intervention to become truly useful. These resources are the building blocks for many things we rely on daily: vehicles, roads, bridges, buildings, and machinery. They're the foundation of our infrastructure and technology. Speaking of technology, it's also a key example of a human-made resource. It's something we've developed through our ingenuity, and it continues to evolve to improve our lives. So, in the bigger picture, human-made resources show how human effort transforms natural resources into essential tools and infrastructure that support our modern society. Now, moving on to Slide 8, which focuses on human resources. As people develop their skills, knowledge, and technical abilities, they become more effective in utilizing natural resources. This means that humans are actually a vital resource themselves. With education and healthcare, individuals are transformed into valuable assets that contribute to economic growth. This process of enhancing different skills to generate more resources is what we call human resource development. It's a key concept because it highlights how investing in people can lead to sustainable development and overall progress. So, in essence, our human resources are central to making the most of our natural resources and driving forward our development goals. Let's talk about conserving resources. This means using natural resources carefully and giving them enough time to replenish or renew. It's essential because it helps us sustain our environment for the future. When we conserve resources, we're practicing something called sustainable development, which balances our current needs with the needs of future generations. There are many ways to conserve resources. For example, each of us can make a difference by reducing our consumption, recycling materials, and reusing goods whenever we can. This not only helps save resources, but also reduces waste. Remember, the future of our planet and all its inhabitants depends on our ability to maintain and protect it. It's really everyone's duty to ensure that we use renewable resources in a way that is sustainable. Some simple ways to do this include making shopping bags from old newspapers or discarded clothes, which is both eco-friendly and creative. Also, switching off electricity when it's not needed can save a lot of energy. Reusing water, such as using it for washing or watering plants, is another effective step. Now, let's look at some principles of sustainable development. Respect and care for all forms of life is fundamental. We need to conserve the Earth's vitality and diversity, meaning protecting the variety of life on our planet. Changing our personal attitudes and practices towards the environment is crucial, too. For example, making baskets with bamboo sticks is a traditional way to reuse natural materials. Preventing water wastage by checking for leaks and closing taps when not in use is a simple but powerful habit. Improving human life quality while minimizing the depletion of natural resources is a key goal. Finally, empowering communities to take care of their own environment is vital. When everyone contributes, we damage the natural systems less. Overall, by respecting nature and adopting sustainable practices, we help ensure a healthier planet for ourselves and future generations.